Hello, hello, hello. Yes, Zooey Mama is back, and we've got yet again another tutorial. As always, another mod build just for you, just as people are requesting. And yeah, this is one that we ain't got in our collection yet, so I thought we'd better get ahead and build it because it's probably one of the most crucial mobs in the game. One of those mobs that's a bit of a pain in the bum when you're running around in the dark and you don't want to bump into these guys because they don't half pack a punch. But yes, guess who it is? It is the skeleton. Look at that guy. He looks pretty epic. I had to put a bit of armor on him because I thought he looks a little bit better with the armor. He looks a bit too empty in my liking, just with the bones. And also, I forgot to add on the crossbow. I'd like to say I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't. And guess what? There is no crossbow because skeletons don't carry crossbows. Skeletons carry bows. So I don't know why I keep referring to a crossbow. It's actually a bow, okay? So don't get that confused like I did. So just don't worry. At the minute, he hasn't got one. But when we get further into the build, I do actually show off the crossbow because I did make one. I sort of got to this point, to the end of the video, and I looked at him. I thought, hold on a minute, there's something missing here. He hasn't got a crossbow. He ain't got any weapon. So obviously a skeleton needs a weapon, and he definitely needs his crossbow. So I mean, I have built one, but I like the look of him just like this. But let's get on to the blocks and colors, shall we? So we got grey terracotta, we got brown terracotta, brown concrete, brown wool. What else is this? Terracotta. We got a little bit of white concrete, little bit of grey concrete, cyan terracotta, light grey concrete, light grey wool, and we've also got a little bit of clay. But let's get on to the actual part we've been waiting for, the build. So we're going to kick things off by doing a leg, and it's going to be 12 high in total, okay? I'm not going to bore you with counting because I don't like counting out because it's, yeah. Anyway, so there we go. It's a leg that's 12 blocks high, and we're going to pattern that first pattern there. Skadoosh! There we go, looking cool. And once you've done that leg, we're now going to go to the base and we're going to do a 2-block gap. And on the third block, we're going to do, again, we're going to put a little square for now because that is going to be where our second leg is going to be placed, okay? So firstly, oh, I can't spit my words out again. Firstly, we're going to go to the back of the first leg and we're going to whack on this pattern. Okay, so once we've done this leg, like I said, it's all downhill. So all we're going to do now is copy the first leg across onto here, but we're going to copy it opposite. So we're going to copy the blocks opposite to the one next to us, all right? If that makes sense. There we go, because it's going to give it a bit more depth. It's not going to look the same. It's going to give it a bit more character rather than it all being sort of symmetrical, I guess, with each other. Why not? That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? And yeah, the reason why I went with the skeleton with the armor was, like I said, I did try it without the armor firstly, and it looked all right. I mean, I must admit, it didn't look too bad, but the problem is with the skeleton and any sort of skeleton sort of structure, just like the skeleton horse, I find it quite difficult to do something that has a lot of detail in it by using very little colours. And the problem is there's only like a few different colour greys you can use that will actually look relatively cool or good, should I say. So and obviously then if you do it all white, it doesn't have enough character just doing it all white. So that's why I like to add a bit of colour to it just to give it a bit more detail. And like I said, because there was a lot of obviously skeleton, a lot of the ribs and that are exposed. It's a lot of colour to try and fill in, and it didn't look right. It just wasn't working for me. So I decided, hold on a minute, skeletons look pretty cool when they've got a bit of armour on them. So I decided to go with the leather armour. I didn't want to go with the gold, and I didn't want to go with the diamond because it's too OP, it's overpowered, and I just thought, come on, let's be a bit realistic now, because you do see a lot of skeletons obviously with leather armour on. So I thought, yeah, let's do leather. Why not? It has a nice little touch to it. It looks pretty cool, that leather armor. So I thought, yeah, let's do it. And I must admit, I quite surprised myself because as I was building the armor, I weren't sure about it, but I must admit it actually looks all right in the end. So we're doing a little ring of roses, a pocket full of posies, a tissue. No, we're doing an actual box around the top of the legs. So as you can see, the top of the legs, we've done a box all the way around. And then once you've done that box, we're going to make a column well, we're not doing a column. I'm just measuring it out for you. We're going 12 high off that ring that we've made around the bottom. And once you've done that, you should be putting this pattern on like so. So it's part of the armor chest plate, let's say. And then spin on round to the left and ignore the big blue section, because guess what? Remember, we're actually deleting that. It's going to be an air block, and it's where the arm actually goes as well. So yeah, just put any old block there for now. Spinning on round, and you do see what I mean about the leather look. It actually looks pretty cool. I love the amount of detail on it, and yeah, I think it just works wonders. Actually, do you know what? I actually genuinely like the leather armor. It looks pretty cool. So I'm just panning on around just to show you what it should look like. I mean, if you've done the front and the back correct, your pattern should look like this. So you shouldn't really have to do anything. That blue, remember, we're obviously going to be erasing anyway. So yeah, no need to worry about that. So now we're going to do the first part of the arm, I guess. So we're going to come out by 4 and down by 6 in total. Now this is obviously the shoulder pads of the of the armor. So I'm just going to make a lovely little box here. There you go. Just nice visual representation. There we go. And then we're going to obviously fill this in, and we're going to do the same on both sides, as you can imagine. So like so. The first pattern is on. There we go. Nice and simple. This is a lovely little build. I actually really enjoyed doing this one. It's quite nice, yeah. The only thing I sort of regret is obviously when I did start the build, I completely forgot about any weapons, and like I said, I had to sort of add on the crossbow, so it was sort of a last minute thing, and I don't know, I think I could have done a lot better with the crossbow. I was gonna sort of put the skeleton in a different position than what he's actually in the minute, but I just, yeah, it was sort of all last minute, and it sort of come to a rush in a sense. So I thought, right, let's just get this crossbow on there, and I think it actually turned out all right. I mean, I do actually really like this. It's definitely one of my favourite mobs, but I always say that, don't I? I always say they're my favourite mobs. I think it's because every mob that I actually make, admittedly, some of them I dislike more than others. I think obviously because I spend so much time on them, I sort of get attached to them, and yeah, they then become my next new favourite mob that I've built. But saying that, since I've built this skeleton, it's been a few days, and I've actually built 3 different mobs since then. So you are definitely in for a treat after this one. You can't actually see any of them in the background on this build, because I thought yeah, it's like I said, it's been a few days. I had a little bit of a break from gaming and from obviously on my PC, because that's all I tend to do all the time. I'm always either on my PlayStation playing that, or I'm on my PC creating videos. So I thought I had a few days to sort of relax, and yeah, now back to it. So like I said, I've got a few builds ready to go. I just need to obviously create the videos for your viewing pleasure. So yeah. We're at that point in the minute, but like I said, this won't be out very shortly. What am I on about? Because it's already out. Why am I saying it should be out very shortly? You're already watching it, so it's already out. Yeah, that's just weird. But yeah, I meant the other videos will be out very shortly, and yeah, I don't think you'll be you know, displeased with what you're going to see. Essentially, let's say that, but. We are sort of getting to a point soon where I think I've literally built most of the mobs in the game. I don't think I'm far off now. I think there's a few that I haven't built, but when I'm looking through the list of mobs, I'm actually thinking, right, I've done that, and there's not really much I've not done. So I will be getting to that point where I'll be doing some awesome different types of creations in the mob world, of course. But I've got some ideas to do with the mobs, so yeah, I can't wait. It's exciting stuff. You know, it'd be nice to see what people's reactions are, particularly. You know, obviously because my ideas in my head sound awesome, but when people see them, or you know, it might have different opinions, let's say. So it's just one of those, isn't it? It's yeah. So we are actually getting close now towards the end of the build. We ain't really got much more to do. We're sort of just finishing off this arm here, and then it's pretty much the head and the bow and arrow. I nearly just said bow then. I keep getting them confused, like mixed up. I don't know why. The bow and arrow. So yeah, here we go. So we're going to do the head. So we're going to be overhanging by 2 either side. So from that blue strip that we were on there, overhang by 2, and then come up by 8. So most heads are quite standard size actually. So here you go, do it again. Here we go, 1, 2 across, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there we go. So yeah, most heads I do a sort of standard size, and then I sort of evolve it from there. So there we go. Look at that. He looks pretty awesome with that hat. One thing I must mention, and I wasn't sure about when I built this guy, was the head. Now, obviously, he has a helmet on, and if you do get very close enough, if you can, because it is tricky sometimes to get to a skeleton that has a helmet on and that's shooting at you. But if you do, you'll notice that obviously there's like 2 slightly different layers. There's sort of the helmet layer, and then there's like obviously the head layer. So the problem was, if you did your helmet with a one block gaps, and it gives it a bit of depth, it doesn't look right, because then the helmet looks too big for the head. Or you can do what I did, is obviously just make the helmet sort of on the head, or in the head, let's say, so it's part of the head structure itself. Now, I mean, it's entirely up to you. I mean, I tried both. I did it this way, and I also did it the other way, where there's the helmet's a 1 block gap difference. And yeah, like I said, it looked too bulky, too big, and it just didn't work. So I just obviously went back to the drawing board and obviously did this style instead. But I'll leave that up to you. Obviously, everyone has their different ideas. It's similar to what we did with the zombie pigman, to be fair, where obviously there's 2 different layers. Obviously, there's the skeleton layer and there's the pig layer. So there's like a 1 gap difference in block size. But you know, I'll leave that up to you, like I said. And here is the bow. What do you think of that then? I mean, I don't know, I've never really built a bow before, so this is sort of my first experience with it. I sort of got the colours right, I believe. I did struggle a bit, and what we're going to do is, on the arm section, we're going to come up from the bottom by 1, and that's where you're going to be placing your first grey block, and then from the arm, you're going to come up from the base 3 blocks high, and that's where that piece of the string is going to join. Okay, does that make sense? And this was probably the easiest way for me to explain and show you. I'm just sort of showing you around slowly, just so you can see. And what we'll do is a little pause section here, and like I said, if you go from the arm there and build the part of the string first, and then build from that point then, and then it should all line up nicely. Okay, so that's, like I said, it's the easiest way I could show you, because when it's so close to the skeleton like this as well, it does make it a little bit more tricky. Yeah, so you can't go wrong as long as you work from those 2 blue sections that I marked out. By doing the strings first, you shouldn't be able to go wrong. But by now you're master builders, and I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for you. Anyway, I've been Zooey Mama, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.